This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, it's ODB, and we're here to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by Custom Car Show Productions, which includes Orange Beach Invasion, Scraping the Coast, Sicknick, that's SIKNIC, and Bayou Showdown. Make sure you follow each of these shows on Instagram, as they have their own Instagram handle, and search on Facebook for these 4 awesome shows. You want to make sure you click on that you're attending. That way you will receive the latest updates and you can join the discussion as it relates to these awesome shows. Thank you to Greg Miller and Custom Car Show Productions and the entire team for continuing to support Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Also, Sparkles Detail. Support the clean team that supports the scene. If you're at a Custom Car Show Productions event or any other event that Sparkles Detail is in attendance, have them clean your ride. This allows you to spend more time chilling with the crew and less time worrying about how clean your ride is. Make sure you follow Sparkles Detail on Instagram. Enjoy this episode.
Yeah, the weather, the women, and weed. Oh yeah, it's Saturday, and I am your favorite DJ Easy Dick, and I'm gonna give it to you the long way. It's Warren G, E40 Fonzarelli, Too Short, and Nate Dogg. It's Saturday. It's Saturday. Yeah. Time to go out and find I wanna play.
Yo, it's Our Lifestyle, the podcast, episode 123. We got Miggity Mike, the mayor. He's, you guys know, he's in the house, man. What's going down, my man?
Dude, ODB, I love when you turn it on, baby. I love when you get that yo, and you turn that, flip that switch. Dude, it's fucking awesome. I love it. But dude, it's another beautiful day down here in Southwest Florida. But I tell you what, you can almost tell it's summer because all the damn snowbirds are hauling ass up north. And man, it was hot as shit today. I think we had a high of 91 today. But it's we're starting to get to the point where we need some rain because that grass is getting dry. But dude, all in all, it's good. It's a good day, brother, and it's good to be on here with you and the Airhead Nation.
You know it, and I don't have to wait now every week to get the weather report, which I still like. My son said, Dad, let's put the little Google Home Mini that I have out here in the living room. So, naturally we get it set up, and I'm asking it, all these questions, and I asked it earlier, what's the temperature tomorrow, and guess it's going to be 89. I'm like, damn, it's summer already, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was baking today, brother. It was absolutely baking. And I told Mrs. Mayor, I was like, man, I got to get me some sunscreen because my arm was on fire today. That arm that sits outside the mail truck, constant sun beating down on it. I was feeling it today. But, dude, Mini Nats was off the fucking chain. Jason Bell and staff absolutely killed it. And not only did they kill it, but the whole mini trucking community, the whole mini trucking scene, man, they showed up and they showed out to the count of about, I think it was 750, if I'm not mistaken. Dude, it was 440 not pre-registrations, but registered vehicles on Friday. And he's like, obviously that was the most ever. 750 was the most ever. They even opened up an extra side of the show field because they, to pack those cars in. And, it was kind of not necessarily funny, but we show up, me, my boy Keith, rode up there 12 hours straight, left here 9 p.m., got there about right before, so it was a little less than 12 hours to get up there. And man, it freaking rained almost the whole, once we hit Georgia, it pretty much rained the whole way there. And but we get there, holy shit, it was cold. I show up in shorts and flip-flops, and man, I got rid of that shit real quick. I look over at Keith and I said, man, we are not in South Florida anymore, brother. And it was cold. It was raining. The wind was blowing. It was pretty damn cold. But the good news is about midday Friday, that shit blew through. The sun came out. And, dude, it was absolutely gorgeous come Saturday. It was a little cold Saturday morning. We even had the heat on in our damn motel room because it was fucking cold. It was cold. But I tell you what, that sun came out on Saturday, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And it was just an absolutely beautiful day. Great show as far as just everybody showing up, dude. The old school mini trucks. I've never seen so many Amigos in my life. But John Moore, it was so great meeting him and seeing Low Migo in person and just what he's done to that thing. And just so, I'm telling you guys, if you like old school builds, if you like old school mini trucks, and you want that old school mini trucking feel of back in the day, Mini Truck Nats is your show.
Oh, yeah.
And Maggie Valley opens up and just lets it go, and the whole town, like it reminds me of Show Fest back in the day, because I never did go to Mini Nats when it was in Pigeon Forge. So I've only went last year and this year, and like I tell my wife all the time, and I tell you, Jay, I'll never miss that show.
Yep.
Absolutely will not miss that show. I mean, compared from last year to this year, I swear it looked like it doubled in size.
That's
and
killer.
The amount of vendors, the amount of spectators, the amount of just participants, it was absolutely awesome. Jason Bell said that they sold out on the show shirts on Friday. They sold over 600 shirts on Friday, the show shirts.
Wow.
And he was asking Brant over at Graphic Disorder if he could go ahead and print some more Friday night to bring over to the show Saturday. And, of course, that wasn't going to happen. But there is another run. If you check out Jason Bell's page, the event page for Mini Nats, they are doing a reorder of the show shirts because everybody wanted one. Not everybody got one, obviously. And they're even doing an orange, a charcoal, and a black. So make sure you guys check that out and get your show shirts.
Well, we're going to talk all about it, Mike, so thanks a little bit there for some of the details. I know we've got a jam-packed show for everyone. We want to remind everyone that Scraping the Coast, June 21st through the 23rd, 2019, that pre-registration is basically ended at the point that you listen to this episode. So, congrats to everyone that got in with the shirt deal that they're offering. I would highly suggest, if you haven't been to Scraping the Coast show, you want to go out there and follow them on Instagram and Facebook. But most importantly, take a long weekend vacation. Make sure you go out, you support the scene, hit up Scraping the Coast. It's scrapingthecoast.com for more information. And, of course, one of the key sponsors there is Sparkles Detail. So support the clean team that supports the scene, sparklesdetail.com, and have them detail your ride at Scraping the Coast or any of these shows that they're in attendance at. So, Mike, on this episode 123, Minis on the Rise, we're going to talk, obviously, we started there with Mini Truckin' National, so a lot more to talk about. We know it was an amazing show. You mentioned the Amigos and things like that. We also have a guest that's going to come on that's going to talk about the truck, one of the trucks, I think it was the first truck that burned, and really kind of dispel some of the rumors about it. And then we're also going to hear from Jason B., and the main contact from Cardinal Glennon Hospital, the Children's Hospital, that the show is benefiting from a charity perspective. So that's going to be pretty cool tie-in. But Mike, before we get to Mini Truck and Nats, Street Trucks, man, that new issue just arrived, and there's been a lot of buzz about that, hasn't there?
Dude, it's everywhere. It's all over. On my timeline, if you're not seeing anything about Mini Nats, then it has to do with Street Trucks. And congrats once again to the Hamiltons because this issue is absolutely killer. And some of our good friends are in this issue. Our boy Josh Miller. Tell us a little bit about that, Jay.
Well, Josh, of course, you guys heard him on the last episode. The truck came out, as far as the feature, amazing. When you look up this magazine, you're going to see the truck is in here several times, in the table of contents. I think it's also in there with Chris Hamilton's little write-up, his editorial piece, with several other mini trucks, including I see Roro's Isuzu is there. Then when you get to the main feature, which was shot by Brandon Burrell. Now you guys have heard, Brandon is, he's been on here before. He's also shouted out there as the whole team of freelancers are shouted out earlier. But The Look That Kills starts on page 32. It's a dual-page layout there. Man, that initial layout is amazing. You also see the Airhead Nation sticker, so thanks, Josh, for putting that on. I know Miggity Mike and Mrs. Mayer, you guys sent that out to him sometime last year. It's a great layout. The story is awesome, and I cannot reinforce this enough. It talks about the history of the truck, Mike. And just to set the record straight, Josh knows he didn't build this truck, right? And this story that Brandon...
Wait a minute, Josh didn't build that truck?
I mean, I guess there's some people saying that maybe Josh, like, 3D printed it or something. I don't know. Like, maybe he built it with his own hands. I know Josh is a good painter, but he's not that good, right?
No. Matter of fact, I think in every post that he ever posts on social media, and I do believe in that magazine, he gives credit where credit is due every single time. I think I see that every single time. Am I not seeing? Am I blind? I mean, what's the deal here, Jay?
Well, when I first met Josh, he was very clear to me, and I think this is where... Do you remember... I remember in elementary school when the teacher would tell one of the students one thing, and they would say, don't tell anybody, or they would say, okay, tell your neighbor, and then by the end, when the story got around to the 10 or 20 or 30 kids in the room, it was like a totally different story than what started, right? So, there's people I know that have come to me and they've said things like, well, I've heard that, Josh basically was at a show and he said that he built this truck. That is 100% not true. And the thing I will tell everyone is Josh was very clear that he grew up, and it's what's awesome about this feature is it's mentioned in there that he grew up in that area. So around the time that he was going to high school and things like that, he was, of course, visiting some of these shops, and he knew some of these key players back then. But as far as I'm concerned, I've never heard him say he built the truck, and I think the truck is getting a lot of good respect. That really, we all know that the truck has been around a long time, but for someone to go and kind of refresh a couple things and get it out there, take it to shows, and then have Brandon Burrell shoot a feature that's epic, and then for the Hamiltons to say, yes, let's run it, and we've got this mini issue, which ties into Minis on the Rise. It really just works really nicely. And, I'll say this. There's an undercarriage shot with the chrome. You see that there. You see the Mr. Scrape interior. A lot of good photos. Brandon did a great job, but, the curator of this truck is Josh, and he's done a lot of nice little tweaks. And really happy for him as a person, as a mini trucker, that, he's out there, he's thriving, and he's making sure the truck gets the love that it really deserves from those original builders and painters and all those hands that were a part of it, man. So salute to them.
Absolutely. And to top that off, just remember, like our boy Ronnie says all the time, the trucks are cool, but the owners are even cooler. And Josh is definitely one of those dudes.
Definitely. So when you look at the feature, what I would tell everyone, many of you may not know that when those QR codes came out years ago, they were kind of annoying because it's like you had to have a third-party app. Well, Android's a little different. You got to enable the Google Lens feature. But like Mike talked about recently, we mentioned our new cards have the QR codes on them, right? So if you're at a show and maybe you've never, you give one to your buddy and you're like, hey, check this out. The iPhone with iOS 11, they built in a QR code reader, biggity boom, where you just open the camera and you scan that code and it's going to pop up at the top like there's going to be a drop-down notification from Safari that says, do you want to go to this page? And when you tap on that, it'll take you right into, said link. So what was pretty cool, and Brandon pointed this out to me when I was talking with him earlier, in this feature in the upper left corner, there's a QR code, and when you scan that QR code, it takes you out to the behind-the-scene video from the shoot that Brandon Burrell put together and edited, and just it came out really good. So, again, Street Trucks embracing technology, and we love to see that digital space be embraced. So, really stoked about it. And so, yeah, Mike, the look that kills is definitely killing it.
Absolutely, and hey, don't forget we got some other friends in that issue as well. I know Leo Barr is up there in his badass bagged Dakota, and mad props to him, and thanks for that hat you got on there, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. There's the photo in there of Leo with the truck. The truck looks great. Joe Greaves shot it. If you go to page 44, you'll see the photo there of Leo. And, bottom line, he's got the OLP hat on. So that was pretty awesome. And then just to go back to Josh for a moment, in the little write-up, he also had mentioned, Miggity Mike the Mayor and ODB from Our Lifestyle, the podcast. So to see a sticker, a hat, and then have that nod from Josh and Brandon in the write-up was pretty cool, man. And it's a good feeling. We try to stay, Mike, as you know, on the rise.
On the rise. And then, hey, don't forget about our boy, Mr. Seedless, Josh Miller, back in the back there. Get Mr. Four-Door some exposure before it's done.
Definitely. And that came out awesome. I think the title was Planted. And you can go out to Josh's Instagram, look up Josh Miller, and he tagged ProFab in there as well. So getting a lot of love from the minis. And, of course, one of the hashtags I like to do is Crew Cabs on the rise. And you can't knock the hustle right there with Seedless, man. It's definitely on the rise.
You ain't lying. And, Jay, you got yours today, so chances are mine's coming in the mail tomorrow.
100%, man. Well, thinking of the last episode, we had Josh Ellis and we had John Moore on. Mike, one thing that stood out to me is I think there was a little photo that you posted from Mini Truck and Nats with both of their trucks together. These two iconic mini trucks from the 90s. A little bit different style, right? Different painters. One's a mini, one's an SUV. Both minis in my eyes. Both graphicked out. One had to have a little bit more of a restoration by John, and then you have Josh's where it was more of what it says in the feature, kind of a survivor truck. But how cool was it to be behind the scenes on that photo shoot, brother?
Well, dude, that was the first time, and I got to see both of them. I got to watch Rich do his thing, and then, of course, got to watch the real professional Beth do her thing. Beth shot Josh's truck, The Looks That Kills, and then Rich actually did the shoot for John Moore's Low Migo. So I popped a couple pictures of them, from behind. Obviously, as they're shooting the vehicle, I shot them shooting the vehicle. But it was cool. We were there, and that's the first time that I got to see it all go down, watch the magic happen. And now it'll be cool to see it actually in print magazine. Because I'm telling you now, guys, Mini Truck Nats will be in the very next issue. Beth and Rich are not messing around when it comes to turnaround time and when it comes to show coverage and when it comes to these features. They're making shit happen, guys. And so be on the lookout for the next issue. I believe it's issue 19. I believe it's
19 because I accidentally said 19 the last one when I did that.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. And so issue 19 will have both of those features in there. And I'm just curious to see who's going to get cover and who's going to get back cover. That's always the question. So we'll see what happens with that. But with that being said, I know Low Migo also got all-time lows choice award. Yeah, pick at Mini Nats. So super nice guy. If you guys did not listen to last episode, John Moore was on, and of course Josh was on as well, talking about their story and talking about their vehicles and just talking about especially John, because that was his first time that we both of us have talked to John, and just telling his story and where he found it, how he got it, and try to do a Facebook Live, just showing you guys the Low Migo there in person. And he went around and talked about it a little bit there as well. So we had him on the podcast talking about it on the interview with Jay, and then we did a Facebook Live video from Mini Nats. But dude, super nice guys, great guys, true mini truckers in the scene, and it was just an epic weekend, absolute epic.
It definitely was. What we're going to try to do is Jason's going to send us some key points, and whenever I go over the culture, the hip-hop, the tech updates, I'll kind of bake some of those in as well. We did try to get Jay on, so Jay being Jason Bell from Mini Truck and Nats, but due to his schedule, we weren't able to nail that down. And I'll be going out of town for this weekend, going up to the Pittsburgh area with my wife. So, we're going to have this episode out, regular schedule. Then we also have a little something that should be out on Monday, and that is going to be a ladies' show. So we're really stoked about that. We couldn't be more excited for the mini truck scene as a whole right now. And before we call the homie Tilton here in just a moment, Sean Tilton, what we're going to do is I did want to cover a couple of scene updates. So, we talked about street trucks. I highly suggest that you go out there and you subscribe. It is a an amazing magazine. One thing that I've noticed, and I'm going to say this now, Mike, between this and trucking, I talked to someone the other night, and trucking is becoming smaller and smaller, and I don't wish any bad thing upon them. I thought it was pretty funny, though. They were up there. Now, I don't know which photographer, so I'm not, taking any shots. But I was on Twitter on Saturday, and, I see that trucking's up there, and they're shooting, and they're taking photos, and I think they were even doing some little video deals, stuff that we've been doing a lot, and, Street Trucks acknowledges, and we've got that good rapport with them. But, I come in from the podcast Twitter, and I'm like, tag SE Mini Nats, right? And I'm like, hey, check it out. Kind of showing them some love. And then, trucking doesn't acknowledge it. They don't say thanks. They don't, whatever. And as many times, if you look at trucking's feed on Instagram, I mean, we have tagged them, I don't know how many times, with throwbacks and back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, they show really no love to us. It's like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, Mike, now they're tagging Mini Truck Nats like no tomorrow with the SE Mini Truck Nats. So I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, not even a nod or, hey, man, thanks for putting us onto the handle. But, that's the way it goes nowadays. It's just like a lot of the people, Mike, we see them all the time. For an Instagram post that you and I do, like, you and I, we got together, we worked up the little write-up for the show. You got other people that just take a photo and they share it. They don't even know who the owner is. They just, reshare it. They don't really give photo credit to anybody. And it kind of just is like anybody can go out there and do that all day. So, salute the people that are putting the time in, that are a lot of these guys. And look, I'll be honest, I'll be the first to say we reshare a lot of content. We always give credit. But it's important, though, too. You got like Fuel, I think it's Fuelish Media. Love to get the homie on at some point. You look at people out there that are really creating content like we are with the audio podcast, but with these features and things like that, you gotta salute the real, because there's people out there that are doing this work and they're not just like taking screenshots. You know what I mean? So I tell people, support the real deal, Holyfield. Mike and I feel the same way about that, and I just wanted to mention that, Mike.
No, absolutely, brother. You nailed it. And it's not sitting at home. And now, granted, we both said this many times, family first,
Yep.
And we can't be at every show. And we know that. But we're not going to sit at home if we're not at a show, popping up pictures, acting like we're at the damn show. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what you're getting at.
Definitely.
And then act like you're there and, hey, look what we did. Look what, no, you screenshot and stole somebody else's picture and you're posting up as if it's your own. But hey, it is what it is. Who gives a shit?
It's the world we live in, yep.
Like Jay said, support the real. Support those that are out there supporting the scene, and those that are out there actually participating in the scene and that have been around the scene, from the get-go. And that's what we're talking about.
100%.
Because there's a lot of them out there that try to say they're a part of this, but they're really not. They're just trying to make a dime off jumping on board and trying to make a dime off of this scene that they really know nothing about.
Pulling strings, jumping on bandwagons, you know what I mean? That's what Papa Smurf used to say. He used to joke about the Bucks fans. He goes, they're gonna pull a hamstring jumping on the bandwagon.
Hey, and I know that all so well, because damn it, I was the guy that was getting made fun of back in the day, wearing those damn creamsicle jerseys, baby, to high school. So I know all about it. But at the end of the day, man, stay in your lane, do you, and do your shit. Don't try to copy off other people's. Try to stay true to who you are and stay true to your roots. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Now, another thing important in the scene that I noticed earlier is Fester continues to sell off trucks. We've seen that, and it blows my mind how many he had even had, Mike. I mean, I've said this before, but I got no issues. I think Fester's a guy that really loves the scene, and Fester's Garage on Instagram, he had posted up one of the epic trucks earlier and mentioned that she's off to a new garage for another family to enjoy. So it's pretty cool that he's invested enough that he knows other people are going to enjoy these trucks, and he loves to see them go to a good home. So very cool stuff there. I did want to mention we had the homie from Christian Hollings, the Rad Vehicles, on before. We talked mostly about the Blazer and the Helltrack event, but he does also have the replica Corvette from the movie that Crew Jones won for winning Helltrack. He also got another classic signature on it, which for you BMX fans, it was Hollywood Mike Miranda, who also plays a small part in the movie. He takes a couple of dives there on the track. But if you haven't, go out on Facebook and type in Christian Hollings, and that is his main kind of fan page, if you will. Pretty cool stuff. He's got a lot of signatures on the glove box, so love seeing it. Now, Mike, I don't know if you saw this photo, but if you guys haven't, go out on Instagram and type in REDDWUD, Redwood, and that is the real, as Papa Smurf would say it, I said the real Matt Smith. And he has an epic photo. He says, Redwood in 1989 in first pick. My boy says father-son goals right there. Proud dad. Now, the homie, there's another guy, the first comment on there says, them shorts, though. And, dude, I mean, seriously, he's got to have, he's got the mullet going. And in all due respect, man, that was a part of the times. And Matt Smith is a good dude. But more importantly, Mike, his son, Vance, I think his name is, he recently got an S10 as well. It's a new school. Yeah, I have a feeling with Matt being a painter and airbrush this, Jay, they're going to probably change up the paint on it, but man, I think it's already laid out, and I'm just excited to see what they're going to do. And when we talk about the new generation of mini truckers, it's not every day that kids from high school are jumping in the scene that we all enjoy. So for him to do it, I give a big salute, not just to Matt, Vance, and Vicky, but really the whole family, including their homie Jason over at Airbrush This. He's a good dude, and make sure you guys go out there and follow those peeps.
Absolutely, and that picture right there reminds me of what I just seen over the weekend with Steve Robinson. He was the winner of the OLP Choice Award, of course, the skate deck done by Jason over at Feltham Fab, and we chose Mr. Robinson's truck as the pick. And well, he also posted up a picture of his Mazda back in the very first Mini Nats show, and then he down below it he popped up the truck to on Sunday of him with his son, relived it, and with his son holding the OLP skate deck, and that was pretty epic as well, brother. And so that reminded me of that when you had said something about Matt and Vance in that picture. So that was pretty damn cool.
It was, and when you told me about it, I went back and tried to find it. You'll have to maybe tag me in it again, but
yep.
I think that's pretty cool. It just shows that, I've been doing this since 96, like officially, Slamfest 96, I think was my first show. Been reading Main Truckin' since, I think, 93, back in that time. But it really, in my opinion, the most important thing is you got to pay homage to the ones that came before us, because some of these people, as you know, Mike, they've been doing it, rattling stories all from 89, 87.
Yep.
And those guys, we've had some of them on, so we love paying the homage. But, like you said earlier, we know our roots, and we're going to keep sticking to what we know and we love, and that's the way we do it.
Hey, there ain't no fake shit here, brother.
So we're going to keep this segment a little bit shorter because we are going to also hit on a show. We're going to have a show on Monday, as I mentioned. I did want to also just let everyone know, I think, Mike, this weekend is Battle in Bama. There's going to be a lot of people driving to it. So what I would say is, most importantly, safe travels to everybody going there. If I've got anything to say, I would say on the way there, on the way home, keep rocking out to some OLP. We know you guys stay on the rise. Now, since we're finished with Mini Truck and Nats, really the next big show on the radar, we've got two that we want to highlight right now. And Mike, I know the first one is Relaxin in the Park St. Louis. We've got Jason on to talk a little bit about it. I would encourage everyone to follow on Facebook and Instagram, Relaxin in the Park, STL. So, Mike, why don't you tell us about this other show?
It's called Dropped and Destroyed. It's presented by Dropped Out. And it's going to be May 25th through the 26th, 2019. And, guys, we got a new location, okay? Last year, it didn't work out so well. So now they're going to be at the airport. And guys, this time they're going to have the live planes flying during the show. You're going to get pictures with the planes, pictures with helicopters. They're going to have helicopter rides. So you're going to be able to park over there, take pictures with planes, old school, new school, helicopters, the whole 9 yards. Aaron wanted to make sure to let people know that was going to, that was going to happen. And of course, it's in Raven, Ohio. Okay. There's going to be 40 mild and wild classes. There's going to be, of course, the best of show car, best of show truck, best under construction, top 10 magazine awards, best paint, best paint car, and best paint truck, and then of course best engine. Pre-registration is only $30. Go to dropout.com to pre-register, and it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. The show, of course, and the day of show registration is going to be $35. Spectators are only going to be $5 a day. So make sure you guys go out and support. And if you guys got any questions, just check out Dropout Customs at yahoo.com is the email. And then it's dropout at dropout on Instagram. And then, of course, the Facebook page for the event page is Drop and Destroyed 16. So go and check that out and get all your information. And we'll have more information coming. So make sure you all guys stay tuned.
Yeah, and that's DROPT out. So dropped, DROPT, and destroyed, as Mike mentioned. And the thing that sticks out to me too, it's the Portage County Airport in Ravenna, Ohio, 44266. So plug that in if you guys are up in the area, or even if you're a few hours away, man, shoot over there. The artwork looks great. And as Mike mentioned, we've got a little bit more coming on the next episode with this badass show. Okay, so Mike, we're going to kind of keep it short and sweet. I would tell everyone, visit atlmagazine.com. We talked about them earlier. HammerDWeekendWear. That's HAMMERD weekendwear.com. What's important for you to know here? He's got new shirts already in the works, but do not wait. He's got operators standing by. Hit up the website. Buy some merch. That includes t-shirts, air fresheners, sandals, underwear, undergarments, capes, you name it. He's got it all. Sparkles Detail. SparklesDetail.com. Have the clean team that supports the scene. Clean your ride at one of these shows nationwide. Custom Car Show Productions. You heard the ad at the beginning. Just know, scraping the coast. They're coming hammer down. Cannot wait. It's going to be an unreal show. Relaxin in the Park, St. Louis. Big ups to the homies. OLP will be there. You're going to hear from Jason and the Cardinal Glennon rep here in just a few minutes. Also, Relaxin in the Northwest. Follow them on Instagram. We're going to have the homie on soon to talk about why you need to take a vacation to Oregon. And Feltham Fab. Check them out for all your custom painted needs, including Yetis, tumblers, awards, you name it, all the above. So, Mike, with that being said, before we roll into Sean Tilton, you got anything else for the Arrowhead Nation?
All I got, Airhead Nation, y'all stay low. That being said,
we out here. Peace out.
Sound good to me. This sound hard. Something funky people gon' dance to. Give the record a second and a chance to. Hitting people like a scene of amazement. While they slipping back, my feet just planted in the pavement. Crumble like I never do. So now I'm looking dead at you. What are you gonna do? You listen to the knowledge of a scholar. You say how I breathe, tell them how I holler. I'm the E-double, and I proclaim my name. Straight up, good gang, peeps all game. I'm like a rhino, running through the roughest pack. They figure I'm a trigger happy nigga, so they step back. Breathe. The microphone is who lasts the longest, and who's the strongest. It ain't a game, it's plain to see. You listen to the sounds of breathe.
Yo, it's ODB, Culture, Entertainment, and Tech Updates. This is brought to you by our friends over at HammerDWeekendWear. Make sure you visit HAMMERD weekendwear.com. When you post any of the merchandise that you purchase, you can hashtag HammerDWeekendWear, but also HDWW. Show Ron Perkins and team some love and go out there today and order some gear. Okay, so in this segment, I'm going to cover a few more scene updates. Then I'll also talk about, a couple of just general updates, entertainment, music, tech, and just a couple random things. First off, wanted to mention when I was editing the audio, I know it cut out there just a little bit when Mike was talking about the show. So I would encourage everyone from a perspective of dropped and destroyed. If you go out to Facebook and just type in DROPT space out, you'll see the page, the main page will come up. There's a lot of good info there, including dropped and destroyed 16, and that is May 25th and 26th of 2019. At the beginning, when Mike started there, we had a little bit of a clip in the audio, so you didn't hear the dates. So May 26th, or 25th and 26th, again, that's up in Ohio. This is, there's 40 mild and wild classes. There's a ton of sponsors, and hopefully we'll have the homie on to talk a little bit about the show between now and then. As Mike mentioned, it's a new venue. Pre-register $30 at droptout.com, or day of show, I believe it looks like it's $35. Spectators are only $5, so you can't beat that. And just remember, when you go to a show and you're paying the spectator fee or you're spending some cash with some of the vendors and whatnot, that is supporting the scene. So, get out there, spend a couple bucks. I know it's hard-earned money, and do the damn thing and have a good time. Now, speaking of spending money, Mike and I kind of alluded to this, but I want to just reinforce that when we say support the real, we really mean that. And as an example, right, I'm going to give this example. It's okay for people that are new to the scene to get into the scene, and a perfect example of that is the real. I said the real Matt Smith's son. He's got his first truck. He's excited about it. I think it's even bagged. And I know that truck is going to be awesome. And Matt has, and Vicky, they've kind of led him into the scene at a good young age. And, I know that they're going to have a lot of fun going to shows, whether it be local shows or, shows throughout the Southeast. Matt's a really good dude. Now, his son's not going to come out and start a clothing company, for instance, right away and try to start profiting from the scene that we all enjoy. I mean, I highly doubt that's going to happen, right? When Mike and I talk about how long we've been going to shows, that's a testament to kind of reinforce, hey, we've been doing this a long time. It's certainly okay for the younger generation and everyone to go out and get a truck, start going to shows, supporting the scene, so on and so forth. Totally cool with that. The thing that I want to reinforce, and I would say this not just for our scene, is you want to spend your hard-earned money with companies that have been around and have established themselves, right? Or with people that have been doing this a long time. So, for many years, I was going to shows as just a quiet showgoer, enjoying it. We started the podcast 3.5 years ago. Before that, on my personal Instagram, which is at BD94S10, I was posting a ton of photos because I'm dating myself here. When I went to shows, like many truckers, we used 35 millimeter cameras or the click and the point and click deals, right? So it's one of those things where when you go to shows and you take photos and you're out there and you're hanging out and you're a part of the scene and you do that for 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, some of you guys going on 30 years, it's kind of a feather in your cap, and you've been doing it. So to me, if someone like Sever Ties or Negative Camber or Relaxed Atmosphere or No Regrets, insert any club that's been around for a period of time, if they decide they're going to throw a show or they're going to do something, hey, they've been around, man. They know what they're doing. They've got a good bunch of people, the guys and the chicas, and they're going to do it, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Mike and I. When we started the podcast, we put a shirt out back in September, I think right before that, the opening of the NFL season that year. And, it was early in our infancy, and the podcast, a lot of people hadn't heard what podcasts were, and I think we got in at a great time. But we didn't immediately come out trying to, make money off of what we were trying to do. So, now we've been doing this 3.5, going on 4 years, and really what we're doing is reinforcing that, there's a lot of positivity in the scene, and that's the way we try to keep it. So I would tell people that if, I've been around a long time, I've seen, companies, including clothing companies, websites, various magazines, shows, of course, people, come and go, right? We've seen a recent podcast, it came pretty quick and it went, it was gone. And it's no slight against people, but what I say is, if you got someone like HammerDWeekendWear, and they've been doing this, and Ron's been going to shows for years and years and years, and he's built way more vehicles than even I've built, and he's got some badass shit. Go out there and support those kind of folks, right? Because they've been going to shows, spending that gas money, spending the money on hotels and food for all these years. Again, myself, 1996, I started going to shows, right? I was still in high school, and I've went to Slamfest every single year in a row from 96, which is like mind-blowing to me. But, again, you don't have to have gone to every show. There's some guys recently that have been around or been out of the scene a long time. Or there's guys that come along like our friend Josh Ellis, and he buys a truck and he refreshes it and he does a great thing. You heard us talk about it earlier. But Josh Ellis isn't trying to go out there and start a company to say, hey, spend money on me, or my clothing company, right? Josh, has a truck that is iconic, and he deserves all of the, I think the accolades that he's getting, because he's put the money into the truck a little bit to refresh it, and he's going to shows, and he's loading the truck, and he's doing all those things. He's doing a lot of things that I know a lot of people, they don't go to half the shows that he's even went to in a year. They haven't went to that many in 10 years and brought anything. So, people can go out there and they can kind of knock on someone like Josh and say, oh, he bought a truck and, this and that. But, dude, imagine, put Josh Ellis up next to some of these other guys that and it's no slight against them. But I got people that live 10, 15 minutes from me. I don't even see them hardly once or twice in a year, if that. But I see other people when I go to outstate shows more than that. So I kind of get off the tangent here and just say, listen, if you're going to go to a shop that's been around a long time, like Jimmy's Rod and Customs, dude, he's been in business, he recently said, on his own for 10 years holding it down. That's not easy. You don't want to run out to the shop that, opened 5 days ago. Hey, it might be your buddy. Okay, you're going to support him. But you got to support those that have been doing it a long time. I don't know what your thought is on that, right? Some people might be like, well, I don't know. But, that's my stance. And when you go out there and you're spending your money on a product, whether it be clothing or it be airbags or suspension parts, like I've done recently with Jeff Davey at Devious Customs, I'm going to someone that's been around a long time that stands by their product. But most importantly, that has earned the reputation to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to spend my money with this guy or this lady, right? And I'm going to do it and I'm going to feel good about it. So that's all I got as far as that whole tangent. Sound off. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment in the Podbean app when you're listening around this point of the podcast. We'll get a topic going here in the Airhead Nation group. And let me know what you think. But at the end of the day, if you're going to shows and you're spending the gas money and you're paying dues and you are giving it up to the OGs, there's not much more you can be doing than that. So keep it positive and on to the next one, right? Okay, so Santa Monica Airlines, I wanted to mention this, from a culture standpoint. Many of you collect skateboard decks from, the Pal Peralta days. Many of you still ride. I can't really do any tricks, so I'm out there on my longboard and my donk board, of course. But if you go on Instagram and you type in Santa Monica, you'll see Santa Monica Airlines. So they recently put out some epic boards, and one of them is already sold out. It has the pink sprayed rails made there in Los Angeles. It was a Nodus board. So they had 2 new decks in the shop. Man, the colorways on these are amazing with the greens and the kind of the oranges, the pinks, the blacks. Really, really cool stuff. The reason why I wanted to give them a shout out is last year, you guys may recall, they had done another run of Nodus's board, and they posted it back on September 14th. It was a photo of David Cook, who is the artist living in L.A., and he was holding what blew my mind is it was a yellow Nodus board, and it was the SMA, Santa Monica Airlines, summer tour of 89 shirts. Now, I did not remember the shirt, but I remembered the board. That was, obviously from my era. I never owned the board, but the homie that lived down the street from me, Larry Parker, dude, this kid had 8-10 boards at any given time. He was really, really good. And you guys heard in different episodes, I've mentioned, this dude was a huge influence on me, right? So, going out there and looking at some of these companies that have maybe reemerged over all these years because the resurgence in the old school type stuff, right? Especially with the BMX bikes, we've seen some companies making some throwbacks. And then, oh, by the way, you've got companies like Santa Monica Airlines that are out there doing the damn thing. Some of these boards are autographed by Nodus and whatnot. You can click their link right there in their bio, and they'll take you over to their website. It's a pretty simple website, not a lot on there. But for anyone that likes to collect boards, dude, super awesome stuff. And now that I'm clicking, it looks like the Nas Compass deck with art signed by Skip Engelblom is $65. So looks like they've got some back in there. Dude, super, super, super badass. But, man, to me, just having the stuff hanging on the wall, whether you're going to skate it or not, it's pretty damn badass. So check it out. Okay, entertainment and music updates. This was a big one. John Singleton passes away. And the way social media is, it seemed like maybe within 3 or 4 hours of this coming out that I had caught wind of it on Twitter. And, I was even at a restaurant earlier this week eating some barbecue, and I heard some people behind me talking about it. And I thought it was pretty moving that, where I was having lunch in Lando Lakes, where I grew up, and hearing people talk about it was crazy because, he really transcended so many different, people and cultures and things like that. And many of you know the movie Boys in the Hood, of course, right? So, John Singleton, that was his directorial debut. In 92, he was the first black person nominated for a Best Director Oscar. He also remains the youngest person to be nominated. Imagine this. He was only 23 years old when he made that movie. So he's one of the greats. There's been a lot of cool photos of him shared, with Ice Cube at the Canes festival back in, I think, 91. There's some other cool photos from the set of Boys in the Hood and so on and so forth. I know Complex on Twitter, they had tweeted out some cool stuff, really kind of paying homage to the OG. Now, this was an interesting fact that I read since he had passed away, so rest in peace. And this came from someone on Twitter, which is Reconsidering Cinema. And the handle is COENE, like Cohen's Squad, SQUED. So, quote, John Singleton was offered $100,000 to walk on Boys in the Hood in 1991. They wanted an experienced director, but responded, "I'm doing this movie. This is the movie I was born to make." The film made more money per screen than Terminator 2, and received a 20-minute ovation at the Cannes Festival, end quote. So what I got from that is they offered him, I guess, $100,000. So crazy, really good stuff. And when you watch the movie, it really is timeless. From what I had read in the past too, Ice Cube didn't even want to do the movie, and he said no. And John Singleton went back to him and was like, "Look, this role is for you. You need to reconsider, read the script." And then, of course, Ice Cube did it, and Ice Cube had a lot of good things to say about him on Twitter, mentioning that he really is what got him into the show business, right? Ice Cube had that prolific career already at such a young age with NWA and then spanning off on his own. But, man, for the early 90s, for him to have, had an awesome breakout role in this movie, it really propelled him into making movies like Friday just a few years later and so many other big hits, including the sequels to Friday and the Barbershop series. But Ice Cube is one of the guys out there that's made a lot of money. And I think he, as you'll see from different posts, he owes a lot to John Singleton. and he respects the OG. Now, when I was pretty young, that was one movie that I did not see in the movies. So I actually first saw it on VHS tape. For whatever reason, I remember there was a lot of buzz in the world then when that movie came out. There were like supposedly gang fights, and I'm sure there was like one or two here and there, and then all of a sudden that was what the news, the media picked up on, that it was gang fights and all this. And I think I was just at an age where my parents like, we're not taking you to that movie, of course. So that's kind of the way that went down. But if you go on IMDb, there's 19 credited movies for a director, and it includes Boys in the Hood, Michael Jackson's Remember the Time. That was a video short. He was uncredited for that. I think technically he really never wanted the limelight. But when you go back and you watch that video, you look at all the stars that were in it, and then you also look at some of the behind-the-scene photos. That truly is a crazy video on how well it was done just for a music video. Poetic Justice, of course, starring Tupac. Dangerous, the short films. And that was the video, I think, for Remember the Time. Michael Jackson video Greatest Hits. Rosewood, Shaft, Baby Boy. Too Fast, Too Furious. That was in 2003. Four Brothers. He did 30 for 30, I believe. Abduction. A couple others. I know he worked on Billions show, and then Snowfall, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of cool stuff out there about him. I think he did a lot in a short time. And one thing that I noticed from the Launch magazine, they're really good in kind of piecing stories together about artists and hip-hop music and stuff. But they had a tweet that said, "Rip John Singleton, Baby Boy is written for Pac. The role later goes to Tyrese. John gives a part of Pac in the movie." And there was like a mural in one of the scenes on the wall. So pretty cool stuff there. So rest in peace, John Singleton. He's definitely going to be missed. And, man, I think he was 51 years old, if I remember correctly. That's damn young. I tell everybody, go out there. Mike and I joked about it recently, but we're being serious. Go out there. Get your health taken care of first and foremost because, man, you got a lot more years in you. And especially at 51 years old, that's a middle-aged man. And he shouldn't have died at that age. Just he's too young. Okay, on to a couple other lighter topics, and we'll wrap it up. Right before I started recording this segment, I was on Twitter, and what do we have here? We have Logic. So you guys know I've become a big Logic fan. I don't really listen to a lot of the new school hip-hop folks, but a couple of my buddies kept saying, man, you got to get out there and listen to some of the albums, and I started, and I was like, wow, he really is a badass lyricist. So Logic 301 on Twitter, he tweeted out a little while ago that Homicide featuring Eminem is going to be available everywhere this Friday. I'm really stoked to see it. It was, I want to say a few months ago, he had shared a photo of him and Eminem. They were, chilling. They took a couple photos, and he even mentioned that he can't wait to see what comes of this and for the fans to hear it. So I'm really stoked about it. Logic is truly an awesome artist. He recently put out a book, and I think it was like bestseller. So big ups to him. Can't wait to stream the song, and I'll be purchasing that one, no doubt. Last week marked I think it was the 25th anniversary of Outkast's debut. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Funky Music. Love that album. I bought the album not the day it dropped, but I'd say within like 3 to 4 weeks after it came out. I still remember where I bought it. It's no longer a music record store. The whole plaza's been totally redone. And then, of course, Mobb Deep, their album, The Infamous, that was 24 years old. Two classics from the early to mid-90s. All right, last updates. So tech. Amazon expands their in-car delivery service to Ford and Lincoln vehicles. So The Verge had posted this. Now, I think I shared something maybe about a year or two ago when they started this, and some of y'all were like, oh, hell no, I ain't letting anybody get in my car. What I think is pretty cool is the way technology is these days. These companies can think outside the box. So, oftentimes when we order things, we want them next day or 2 days. We want it free, the whole, did it ship yet? Well, imagine being able to be, like, let's say you're at your work and you want your package delivered to you, but you're working. You can't come out. You can't meet them. Well, the service basically allows for them to remote into your car and pop the trunk and then put the package inside the trunk of the car and close it. Now, we've seen from Amazon, they got the same thing with the whole home shit, right? And I know some of you would never, ever, you'd be like, no way, man, I'm not letting anyone into my shit, right? But the way things are going and the way the millennials are and whatnot, people really do want services like this, believe it or not. Now, there was a catch to it. The caveats that TheVerge.com lists, the service is limited to 50 U.S. cities, and the vehicles must come equipped with a modem that allows them to connect to Ford's connected car cloud service, right? So more money. Of course, Ford Pass Connect or Lincoln Connect. Only Amazon Prime subscribers are eligible. Packages weigh over 50 pounds. Packages that weigh over 50 pounds are larger than 26 by 21 by 16 inches, require a signature, are valued over $1,300, or come from a third-party seller, also are not eligible for in-car delivery. So pretty cool stuff. Wanted to just basically share that with everyone because it does tie into the automotive scene. All right, next is tech. Another tech update. So Engadget.com, they had posted a story. There was someone that was killed with a Tesla autopilot, and the family of that unfortunate passing in their family basically is suing Tesla over that fatal 2018 Model X crash with the autopilot engaged. From what I had read, I think it was an engineer that works at Apple. It was his family member that had passed away. So pretty crazy stuff, and we'll see where that lands in terms of the whole autopilot thing. All I know is that apparently the autopilot feature is awesome, but you can't put your seat back and go to sleep while it's driving you. You have to stay attentive. So I don't know all the details there, but it was interesting, and it will be interesting to see where that lands. Samsung Galaxy Fold, I forget if we mentioned this, but basically Samsung thankfully delayed this product. It was set to launch, I think, end of April. I doubt they pre-sold or pre-ordered a lot of these simply because of the high price point. But long story short, if you follow any tech sites, you know that a lot of the review units basically broke, or it was so confusing you had people trying to peel off the protective layer because they thought it was like that the peel deal that you have on most phones, like the S10, for instance, and the iPhone. But turns out on this phone, they had the peel-looking deal, but you can't peel it off because it's a part of the screen. So they had a bunch of shit they need to work out. Good thing is they delayed the launch. So there you have it, some culture, tech, music, entertainment updates. Next, we're going to roll into the homie Sean Tilton. We'll talk a little bit about what he had that went down at Mini Truck and Nats. Unfortunate event, but you'll see that he's keeping it positive. And then we'll hear from Jason B. and the gentleman, the representative from Cardinal Glennon Hospital. That is the beneficiary of the charity contribution from Relaxin in the Park St. Louis. I tell everybody, please go out there, Facebook and Instagram, follow Relaxin in the Park St. Louis, and we hope to see you there. OLP will be out there representing. We cannot wait. Enjoy the weekend and enjoy these next two interviews. Peace. Hey, it's one more update from ODB. So, this is a good one. Mini Truckin' Nationals, or AKA Mini Truckin' Nats. What a success. You guys heard us talk about that earlier on the episode. But I did mention that Jason Bell was going to send over some details. Of course, you can imagine putting on a show that epic, getting back into work is not an easy feat, right? Getting back to the grind, because he does work a normal 9 to 5. And what we wanted to do is kind of share some of the main overall details of this amazing show. So Jason reinforced there were 750 registered vehicles, 31 vendors, and a lot of spectators. Huge thanks to AccuAir, Viair, XS Power, Airlift Performance, AVS on the web, Thorbeck, All Time Low Magazine, Horn Blasters, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Raptor Bedliners. Thanks to Brant and Eric over at Graphic Disorder for the killer artwork in the t-shirts, banners, hats, etc. Oh, and some hoodies. Big thanks to Josh and Coleman over at Welch's Chop Shop for cutting and powder coating all the trophies in carbon canvas for all the print work. Best of show was Bobby Long. Best truck was Nathan Coker. Best mini truck was Devin Ramsey. Best car, Benny Boyles. Best SUV, Steve Anderson. Fab 5 was Steven Hansen, Chris Clark, Jeff Gills, I think it was Jeff Giles, John Snyder, Derek Weimer, just to name a few. Best interior, Wes Frisbee, award by Stitchcraft. Best paint, Cliff Summers, award by Shannon Reese, Diverse Customs. Best graphics, Kate Simpson, award by Steve Carter, Paint Pimp. Best engine, Matt Sinbus, award by Nathan Cokers. So, hey, go out there, make a reminder in your phone, use Google, use Siri, do something. You need to make sure that you follow Mini Truckin' Nats all together on Instagram as well as on Facebook. Listen, I will not miss the show next year. I would venture to say it's going to be at the end of April. Jason and team keeps the pedal stomped. We cannot be there. We cannot wait to be there to bring exclusive photos, videos, you name it, and audio to the Airhead Nation. Salute to a long-running mini trucking tradition with Mini Truckin' Nats. Enjoy the rest of this podcast.
I never got caught with a kilo, and if you ever do, yo, will never be with me, yo. Serve it in the Cherokee, or maybe it's a Geo. Black on black Benzo, we'll get it up amigo. Never have to worry about my posse getting jumped, cause if we ever do, yo, TB, pop the trunk, cause we don't go for playing, wanna play, go grab a ball.
Yo, so as Mike and I mentioned, we've got a guest on, and really, the reason why we want to bring the guest on is because something happened over the weekend, and as you guys know at OLP, we take things head on, and we love to give someone a little bit of airtime to kind of clear the air, so to speak. So, Mike, why don't you introduce the next guest here, man?
Well, coming on now, we have Sean Tilton, and he is with, Sean, why don't you go ahead and tell us who you're with and give us a little background before we go into the story.
Basically just a little club here in Central Florida, low altitude. We kind of just keep it small, keep it cool. We all try to help each other out, do what we can for each other and for the rest of the community.
Kick ass, man. And, we salute you guys. We love Mini Truckin', as you know. So, Mike was up there at Mini Truckin' Nats, and we talked a little bit about Mini Nats earlier. Mike alluded to this challenge that happened. So, can you tell the folks what happened with your truck in terms of this fire that happened?
Basically, we were out cruising, doing what everybody does at Mini Nats. I realized I was starting to have a problem with my truck. I had brand new air management, new switch box, but I couldn't get my left rear to air up. So I was actually driving it back to the parking lot. Maybe we could figure it out because I wanted to take the kids out for a little cruise, let them enjoy it. And as I was waiting in the turn lane, apparently my vent tube for the fuel cell wasn't working. So as we were sitting there, the tank built pressure and developed a crack. Well, with that crack, it got pretty extensive. And as I tried to get my truck to the parking lot, there was a dip in the road. And as soon as I hit that dip in the road, it sparked. And it all just went downhill from there.
So, bring us back to, we've seen, over the years, we had a guest, a real high-profile guy on many episodes ago, Mitch Henderson, and he had this famous truck, and the truck, they're driving down the road, and it's in an enclosed and ends up catching on fire, right? And just one of the most horrible things. Thank God nobody was hurt, but just kind of bring us through, you're sitting in the truck, or are you outside the truck? Give us a rundown of how you realized the truck was on fire, and then what the hell do you do, man? I mean, that's got to be scary.
It really was, and it was one of those things that was surreal. As I pulled into the parking lot, I had 3 or 4 of my club members come over and literally just started kicking my truck, trying to put the fire out. I didn't know what was going on. All I heard was people yelling, like, shut it off, shut it off, shut it off. So I tried shutting it off real quick and went to the bed and thought, maybe there was something I could do. And so as soon as I opened the tonneau cover, it engulfed, and it got horrible. In about 45 seconds, the whole truck was just up in flames.
So, Sean, I just want to clear the air because there's a bunch of guys out there. All, of course, the keyboard commandos over here. And of course, you know how word spreads and whatnot. Sean, you were not out there dragging, correct?
I was dragging, but I maybe only did about 5-10 minutes worth of dragging.
Mm-hmm.
When the truck went up in flames, I had not been dragging for probably 20 minutes.
Got it.
So that's what I wanted to make sure that everybody knew. You wasn't dragging your truck and drug through the gas tank or your fuel cell, and that's what caused the fire.
No, my fuel cell was actually up inside of the bed, where it was away from sparks, ground, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All my fuel lines are ran on top of the frame. They're all protected.
We've seen far worse put together. Like, let's be honest, we've all been going to trucks a long time. I've seen some trucks that are pretty ratchet. You had a real nice truck, and to your point with the description, everything's tucked up nice. It's not like you're one of these guys, want to be rat rod, kind of just everything dangling. I mean, it's a solid setup. So, Mike, to your point, it's good that he clears the air on that.
I mean, yeah, that's what kind of hurt the most is everybody's saying it was a hack job. And I've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this truck and doing what I could to make it as safe as possible. And if it had a part that was going bad, it got replaced.
And now you also had your kids in this truck, correct?
I didn't have them in the truck yet.
Oh, okay.
I was fixing to put them in the truck because, my son loves getting in the truck.
Exactly.
He'll get in there and he'll start playing with switches, and so does my daughter. She loves it.
Mm-hmm. So that's good, because I had heard that, there were stories that, the kids were in there and you had to grab the kids out of the truck. And so that's basically, I just wanted to clear the air that the kids were not in the truck.
No, they were not. I was the only one in the truck when the truck lit up, and they were all at the street still watching everybody else.
Well,
Gotcha.
And Mike, I'll say this, and we often, we always try to put a positive spin on things, right? And I think that's coming. But the thing that I've learned over the years, I've been back in the day, we had our friend Russ, and he had a dually. And he had, threw together some valves, and we were getting ready to drive to Orlando. And we stopped to get a quick bite to eat. And he was dragging. He was, running the truck really low, and the truck drove low. Well, it was a quick wire job. We were a lot younger, and he didn't have any fuses. And his tire hit the valve wires and whatnot, and it basically started this little fire under the hood. And it was like, holy shit, our buddy at the time couldn't get into the restaurant quick enough to get a fire extinguisher. But what I've learned, and even with the Lincolns, because like the 64, 65 Lincolns, there tend to, all the power comes up through the amp gauge. And I was at a show a year ago, a Lincoln show, and they're like, you got to have your fire extinguisher. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm too cool for that, right? But it's really true. After going to that show last year, I've learned that it's like, you know what? When I start driving my car again, and I think it's important because I've been in a full-size truck and it's happened. I've seen really classic cars burn down. And I think it's easy to say in hindsight, right? I'm not trying to play armchair quarterback. But I've realized now, even after your situation, Sean, the importance of that. You know what I mean?
You and me both. I know I got a lot of slack for not having a fire extinguisher. And could it have helped?
Maybe, right?
Probably. But what most people don't know is we also put about 5 or 6 fire extinguishers into the bed of that truck, and it didn't phase it.
Right. So, yeah, and I'm not saying in hindsight you could have saved everything. I'm just kind of telling everybody out there that at the end of the day, it could be good to have one, because I've learned personally that, as you know, man, like when shit catches on fire, man, I mean, we all love a little good fire down by the lake and shit, But when shit really is going crazy and it's your stuff that you put your blood, sweat, and tears and everything in, there's no probably worse feeling. Now, of course, we all know you want your family to be first, right? And that to be taken care of, and that was okay. But yeah, man, I cannot even begin to understand how you feel, brother.
Well, I can tell you right now, all the vehicles that I have from now on will have a fire extinguisher in them.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, Jay, Sean was definitely he played it off pretty well, because it wasn't, I don't know how much longer afterwards, but he had that thing up on a damn trailer, and they were cruising up and down the strip with it on the back of the trailer. He was over there polishing his rims. I seen the pictures of that. So tell us a little bit about that, Sean, and what you were thinking.
To be honest with you, that's where I get my club involved. They came over. They knew I was down. I didn't want to show it, but a couple of them came, and they was like, let's just cruise it down the strip. And I didn't even think about it. I immediately said, let's get in. Let's do it.
Okay,
and
man.
the applause that I got coming out and getting out there on Maggie Valley was unreal. And it just put me in better spirits. And then the next day, I was down. I didn't want to go to the show. I just wanted to go home, and picked up the truck and found some white diamond, just went to town on it. And I wanted to see if wheels would come clean and if it was able to be rebuilt. And that's all I really wanted to do, was just start working on it. I mean, it was one of those things. It hit me in the head, and just let's work on it.
Yeah, I saw
Did
you.
he just drop a promo? Hey, Jay, did he just drop a promo for White Diamond rim polish?
I think so, man. You better reach out to them, Sean, and try to get some product. You know what I mean? It's good product placement.
That's what I'm saying.
I saw the photo of you kind of polishing the wheel. I've seen on your Facebook there was someone that had posted something, and I think they meant this in a good way. They said, "Sean, way to turn the situation around. You have my respect." There was someone else that mentioned too how you quickly forgot about the fire, and then all these different relationships or friends all of a sudden that you built now, right? For people helping you and things like that. So my dad used to always say, take a negative and try to turn it into a positive, and so far from what I can see, you're trying to do that.
I have been. It was hard the first few days, and now that everything's kind of settled down. Yesterday we got the truck to the house, and we tore the bed off of it, tore all the compressors, the air tanks, everything that was in the back half of the truck we got tore off. The only thing that's left is the rear end and the floor link setup. Pulled the diff cover off the rear end, and rear end looks good. Just got to replace some seals and some wheel bearings, and just do some general maintenance back to the rear end to get it where it should be.
Killer.
But
No, absolutely. And Sean, go ahead and let's. So we get back home, and I know Billy and the guys at Sunset had started something up for you. Let's go ahead and touch base on that and what you did with that.
well, they started a GoFundMe for me, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I didn't want people to buy my truck for me. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this truck. I've done everything for this truck. Me and my club have done everything in this truck, and that's how I wanted to keep it. I didn't want somebody holding something over my head saying, well, he couldn't have done that if it wasn't for me. So I immediately went to the other S10 that burned down. I was like, I'll just donate the money to him. He went through a total loss. That truck is gone. I never got to talk to him, so I don't know how he was taking it, but I heard that he had full coverage on his truck and was actually going to do like a come up kind of thing. So I was like, all right. And then it hit me. It clicked. I was like, my son has epilepsy. He had a seizure this morning. I was like, why not donate it to, epilepsy awareness? My son just struggled with epilepsy since he was 6 months old.
Wow, dude. Well, that's commendable. And Mike, I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's good that we can clear the air on things. We do see tragedies, whether it be hurricanes and things, and sometimes people start these kind of funds, maybe not for the best reason, but I think these guys, they obviously had your back. But to your point, it's a very, very touchy subject when you start a GoFundMe, depending on what the topic is. But again, I think you took a negative and you're spinning it into a positive. The last thing that I have before we wrap up, I wanted to thank John Moore for putting us on to something, and I'm sure you've seen this, Sean, but Zip Tie Diaries on Facebook. I'll quote, they said, "I have an offer for you. I have a complete parts truck with a nice cab, bed, doors, and most of the interior. I'll trailer it to our show, Dropped and Destroyed in Ohio. In a couple of weeks, if you and your crew want to trailer your truck up and swap it live at the show, could be a fun experience and will be lots of helping hands available all weekend, I'm sure." I'm sure you saw that. And even if that doesn't work for you logistically, dude, you got to salute somebody for offering that.
I've had numerous people offer me parts today. The outreach that I've had today was really touching. Like, I've spent most of the day crying. I've had people tell me that they've lost their children, that they've lost their grandchildren, their cousins, and all they wanted to do was see some kids have, a normal life. It really was just a heartwarming day.
Yep. Well, listen, we wish you the best. We would ask that you keep in contact with Miggity Mike, the mayor, and I. If there's something the Airhead Nation can do, or if there's anybody out there that, has a little bit of a budget with your business to maybe step up and throw a couple little products out there, maybe some bags or something. There's a lot of good companies out there. Get with us. Get at Sean. It's SHAWN, and then it's TILTON. Correct, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, you got anything else before we wrap it up with the big homie, the mini trucker man who lost his truck? Well, at this point, but he's going to rebuild.
Oh, he's definitely going to rebuild. He's going to come back better and stronger, especially with the help of his club. And because if I'm not mistaken, you had just got that truck painted before you headed up to Mini Nats.
We had just put the wheels on it, bumpers on it Thursday. Loaded it up on the truck Friday, and we were on the road to Mini Nats.
Yep. So I think after all this and all this outpour of help with the rest of the, hey, like they say, minis are on the rise. And Mr. Sean, I think your truck's going to be back on the road and at a show near you in no time.
No doubt.
And real quick, last thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's House of Dimes on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Look up house_of_dimes. Give the big homie Sean a follow. Reach out to him personally if you can, even if it's for some words of encouragement. Love to see people come together, even in tragic situations. So, Sean, from Mike and I, glad the family's okay. Keep in touch, bro, and stay on the rise.
All right, homies.
All right, be good. Peace.
Be good. See you.
Yo, and as Mike and I mentioned, we got Jason B. from Relaxin in the Park, St. Louis. Big ups. You guys have been hearing a lot about the show. We're going to talk to Jay a few minutes, and then we're going to talk to Ryan from Cardinal Glennon Hospital, Children's Hospital, that is. But first, Jay, what's going down, man?
What's up, ODB?
Hey, everything's good in the hood. Now, I was practicing your name earlier. Is it Barbalia?
That'll work for me.
I was telling my wife earlier, I was like, look, I got it down. And I was even asking her, I was like, how do you say it? And she said it. I was like, nope, that's not the way to say it. Everything is good, man. How you been?
Good, man. Just getting things ready for this show. I mean, things are looking like it's going to be pretty epic, and we're excited, man. We're every day it's a little bit more anticipation, yet it's a whole lot of agony at the same time. But I know when it's all said and done, it's going to be kick-ass, and I know everybody's going to have a good time.
May 18th and 19th, 2019. That's just next month in Arnold City Park, Arnold, Missouri. Now, last week, a lot of guys, Jay, saw the promo that we cut, so to speak, and we talked a little bit about the Instagram handle, and of course, you guys know that's Relaxin in the Park. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute with Ryan from Cardinal Glennon. But I kind of wanted to just sync up with you a little bit. How's the anticipation coming in terms of the new Street Trucks magazine?
I mean, it's kind of crazy. John Hansen shot my truck for Street Trucks back last June at Midwest Drag Fest. And we're not even the idea of knowing that they were going to do an all mini truck issue, and then finally it came about, and it's been talked about for several months. And so the anticipation has been there the whole time, every single time, Chris or somebody says, hey, who wants to do the new cover? We're all excited for it. But, there's my truck in there. There's Josh Ellis's truck, and there's a bunch of other ones. And I'm excited that to even be a part of the fact that Street Trucks is doing an all mini truck issue. And that's, something we probably never thought we would see as we all came up through the years. So I think it's exciting for the scene and for everybody involved. It's kind of putting the mini trucks back in the forefront in front of everybody's eyes real big again.
I couldn't agree more. Mike and I talked a little bit about it earlier in the episode. You guys heard that. And, we have reinforced that Chris and Nicole are really, streamlining and doing a lot of different things to think outside the box. And to your point, Jay, it has a lot to do with the mini trucking, which is, really at the forefront, I think, of the 80s and 90s that laid the foundation for when the 88 to 98s came out. And then the first issue of Street Trucks, which we all love, and then the rest is history. So when I think about what you just mentioned a moment ago, and John Hansen, a name that's been around a long time, what was the feeling like when you first got shot for the magazine, knowing hopefully eventually it was going to run?
Well, it was kind of funny. I was busy DJing at the show, and so then I got back over by my truck for a little bit, and Pat Burns, who has a Sure Shot, that actually just won Mini Truck of the Year last year for Street Trucks, comes over and says, hey, this guy John from Street Trucks wants to shoot our trucks for the magazine. And I'm like, whatever, dude, get out of here. And he's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, he's running around here and he's looking for you. He wants to talk to you. We already talked and we're going to do mine in a little while, but, he wants to do yours too. So then I was just walking around doing some stuff, and then he comes rolling up, and he's like, hey, I'm John Hansen from Street Trucks, and, dude, I love your truck. Let's, I want to shoot it for the magazine, whatever else. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? And he's like, 100%, dude. I gotta have it. I already sent the quick pics over to the editor, and he's all for it. And we want to do it. And I'm like, all right, brother, tell me where I got to park. Let's do it.
Biggity boom. You've had that truck a while. I love the color of it. How different in your mind is it that you have a truck that's pretty iconic, and it's a single, paint? It's not a two-tone. How do you like, going out with the truck and representing, man?
Well, honestly, when I got the truck, I wasn't a huge fan of the color. It was just kind of, whatever. But I loved the truck as a whole, and I loved what it meant. And, it was one of my fellow club members that had it from '03 when it was built. So then when we went on to, find out that, hey, this is for sale, I can buy this thing. So I jumped all over it. My plan was to paint it. When I got it back home, that was my number one plan, was changing the wheels, and I was painting it. That's what I was going to do. But then, the truck sat in the garage for a couple of months, and you kind of look at it, and you're like, that color's kind of growing on me a little bit. It's bright. It's noticeable. It's not the typical blues and the blacks and the grays and the reds and whatever else. And, it just kind of stands out, and, it attracts your eye, attracts attention, and the truck's just clean and simple. And my promise to Eric when I bought it was, look, dude, I'm not changing what the truck has meant to the scene for all these years. I'm just going to update it. I'm just going to bring it back to life a little bit, give it a little modern touch, and keep rolling with it.
Nice, Jay. You've done a good job in being able to get the accolades that it has. Obviously, I know you've got some good partnerships that you've ramped up with in terms of, the suspension and things like that. I think it was Airlift, right? Have they been a big partner with you?
Yeah, and when I had to replace the rear airbag, the design that was set up on that truck in 2003 is the same style bag they use in a helper type bag on like the lifted trucks when they got to tow stuff or whatever else now. So
yes.
I had to call Airlift and have them redesign new bags for me for the back of it. So then Kevin that I talked to there says, reaches out a couple months later and says, hey, look, we've been caught up in this import scene a whole bunch. We want to get our feet back in the truck scene real good. What do you think about teaming up and we'll do a sponsorship with you? And I mean, who the hell was I to say no? So
right.
Sure.
I couldn't agree more, man.
So we jump on board, we do that, and we sign that deal, and then Exalta came on to sponsor the paint. And then John's Auto Body laid it down, slick as a baby's ass, and that's pretty much where we went from there.
The truck looks amazing, dude. I cannot wait to see the feature, and hopefully you end up with that badass plaque. If you end up getting one of those, hang it in the man cave there, the garage. I know. I want to also give you a big salute. Mike and I talk a lot about how you go live, and you're really connecting the scene. I don't know if people realize that, but you spend a good amount of time in your garage there. You go live, you talk about shows, and it's not just your show. So we'll transition into Relaxin the Park St. Louis here in just a minute, but how does it feel, man, to get out there and have a face and a name in this scene that we all enjoy?
Man, to be honest, I don't even look at it that way. I just, I enjoy being at the shows. I enjoy being around everybody and hanging out. My son's with me all the time. It's just, it's a good time, and I'm able to shake hands with people that I've either never met or I've talked to a little bit maybe on social media. And now we've got the opportunity to throw a show into the mix as well. So it's just, to me, it's a way to keep myself busy on top of the DJ work and everything else that I do. So, I just look at it as something fun to do, and I enjoy it, and I'm passionate about it and have been since 1994. And I don't see myself turning away from it.
Well, people don't realize that you have that day job. Then you're also on your grind with some of your side business deal work there. And then, oh, by the way, you're helping throw and put on this Relaxin in the Park St. Louis. So salute to you, man. You keep your pedal stomped, and you keep showing up and doing a lot of work, man.
Man, I appreciate all the help that you and Mike have been there 100%, kind of from the beginning when we talked about this, and so many of the sponsors and so many of the people have reached out, and it's huge good. I absolutely love all the responses, and I try to get back with everybody who messages me, whether it's a question or comment or anything. So no, I mean, I'm having a time of my life right now. At the same time, I'm stressed to the max. So you know how it works.
Well, you heard us last Friday. We talked a little bit about, we showed your phone number on the ad that you have on Instagram, of course, right? For more information, contact Jason. And we, of course, told everyone no spamming you, man, with some crazy photos at night.
Well, yeah, I got lucky. I didn't get any dong or dung photos or anything like that. But I guess we'll see what the future holds.
So far, so good. Well, speaking about Relaxin in the Park St. Louis, what Mike and I continue to talk about is the portion of the proceeds will benefit that Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. And we've got Ryan that's going to come on the phone in just a moment. But if there were a couple of updates that you wanted to give the Airhead Nation, what would you say overall? How are things going?
Really, honestly, really, really good. We're finishing up the award aspect now. All the pre-registration stuff is done. Shirts are being printed. I mean, everything's really rolling along right now. We're kind of on that smooth sail, that ride home kind of thing. So,
calm before the storm.
No major hiccups. No, as long as no major hiccups hit, we'll be home free. But there's always the weather case. You just don't know how the weather's going to hold. Well,
we know that that's a big piece for any show. We've seen shows over the years where, you go to it and maybe it rains out. I remember back in the day, a lot of the homies in Florida, we went to Blood Drag and it rained out, and it still was a good time to go there. The camaraderie of getting together with the mini truckers and kind of really the fellowship of just hanging out. So we know either way we got your back. We cannot wait to get to St. Louis. It's going to be a good time. And, people don't realize, Jay, that it's just a stone's throw to Arnold City Park, which is just right outside of St. Louis.
Right, yeah, and that's what's going to be cool is, you're coming into town early, so we're going to hang out, for the day on the one day and just get downtown and get you seeing the sights and the sounds, everything of St. Louis. And, after talking to Ron Perkins, you're going to know more about St. Louis when it's all said and done than what he does, and he's been here for 3 or 4 years now.
I can't wait. There's so many sights and just sounds to see in the city, and we reinforce that to everyone that listens, that when you go to a car show, just don't feel like you're going there for the car show or the truck show. Go there, see some of the sights and sounds of that city. And St. Louis, wow, they've got a storied history, if you will. So we're looking forward to it. Jay, when you mention and you kind of talk about the trophies and things like that, what would you say overall, like anyone you want to thank for that portion of the show? Because I know that's a huge thing, man.
I got to reach out to Welch's Chop Shop. Those guys are getting the top 50 portion lined out. The homie Doug Johnson is taking care of the Relax 10 Custom Appreciation Awards. And there's so many people on board doing all the special awards, anywhere from Gooch Pinstriping is handling the best paint, and we got the guys from Fat Fabs doing the best full size, and TJ Vonderhaar from Camper Creations is doing, I believe he was either doing best suspension or maybe best fabrication. I'm sorry. We got the guys from Dub on Air that are doing the best VW, and the award they've got built for that is just amazing. Anybody who's got a Volkswagen is just going to die to have one of these. And these guys are bringing probably 15 or 20 Volkswagen, especially Beetles and things. I mean, they're bringing a ton of them. So, there's so many people, and every one of those sponsors is going to be thanked hugely throughout the weekend, between promo videos and anything else we can do for them, because without them, we couldn't put on the show. Then without all the people coming to the show, whether the weather is in our favor or not, we couldn't do it. So our hope is to keep it coming. Hopefully this year is kick-ass, and then every year after that, we just keep going with it.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Big shout-out. We know that he's dug us out of a couple of challenges that we've had. Look up on Instagram, Welch's with an S, WELCHS, Chop Shop, good dude there. And he continues to come through in the time of need. So big ups to Welch's Chop Shop. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and talk with Ryan from Cardinal Glennon, and we'll talk a little bit about how Relaxin in the Park St. Louis is helping the local community. Hey, so Jason, thank you so much. And I know, Jason, you're excited from a show perspective to partner with Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. Jason, how stoked are you that you've been able to form this partnership and really help the community there in your local area?
Man, there was no doubt in our minds when we wanted to do a charity who we wanted to do it for, because we've all got kids. And as I mentioned on the podcast before, you just never know when you're going to need an organization like Children's Hospital, or if you maybe used them in the past kind of thing. So to have Ryan come on and talk about what it is they do and what they offer, and even with some of the other people I've talked to from Cardinal Glennon, they've all just been so supportive. And but I don't know what's crazier, the amount that they thank us for what we're doing, or how much I'm thanking them for just being a part of it.
Nice. So, Ryan, we definitely wanted to welcome you to the podcast. We know that there in the local community that you partnered with Relaxin in the Park St. Louis. Just wanted to kind of start off and say, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's just another typical night here in St. Louis. There's a Cardinals game going on, and spring is in the air. So coming out of winter, I can tell you, being in St. Louis is pretty nice right now. So it's a good evening for us here.
That's great, and thanks for sharing that with us. We know that there's some beautiful evenings there, especially at a Cardinals game. So we kind of wanted to, mention that, we know that oftentimes we see like a great group of people that really come together for a good cause, whether it be a car show or just maybe, a car wash, if you will, in a community. But Relaxin in the Park, St. Louis, they've definitely done that from a show standpoint. Now, before we get to the show and the charity aspect, can you tell the listeners a little bit about the organization there from a hospital standpoint?
Oh, absolutely. I work for Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, specifically in their foundation, which were the fundraising arm for the hospital. And, we're a 195-bed standalone pediatric hospital. And we're actually the only freestanding Catholic pediatric hospital in the United States, and one of two in the world. And so the other one's actually the Children's Hospital in Rome at the Vatican. So it's some very elite company that we get to share a children's hospital in our country. But the part of what really, really makes Cardinal Glennon so special is that we will never turn a child away based on their family's ability to pay. And something that's really beautiful about the foundation is that it's just a part of what we do. But last year we were able to provide to families in St. Louis over $7 million in charity care for children who are in need in some sort of situation.
Wow, amazing, man. Well, we like to always remind the listeners, no matter what they what their beliefs are and things like that. No one, right, Jason, can argue with helping a family or a child, so to speak. And we certainly appreciate what you guys do from a community standpoint. Ryan, like on average, how many children patients would you say that your organization helps in a year?
We average over 200,000 visits a year from children all over the community, the country, and even the world through different programs. Our emergency department does over, about 50 to 60,000 visits alone in a year. And many of our departments see thousands of kids throughout.
Got it. Well, that just goes to show the Airhead Nation, how much this show can potentially help, in terms of a donation to this awesome hospital. Now, I wanted to ask, Ryan, in your opinion, how important is it to have organizations or, even if it's a small group of folks like Relaxin in the Park St. Louis that really step up and say, hey, we want to help?
It is absolutely critical to the work that we do for children in our community. Our hospital was founded and built through community support. They actually, when they were building our hospital back in the 40s and 50s, did a brick-by-brick campaign in the community, and that fundraiser built this hospital for the community. So it's been so closely tied to our history through the years, and it's even more important today. And any organization, whether they want to fundraise or donate toys or volunteer or just spread awareness and tell people about the incredible work that's going on and the opportunities that are available, every little bit helps us serve more children. So, as I said, it is critical to what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that with us. And one of the things that we preached the last couple of episodes is that even if someone's not going to be able to make it to the car show there, they can still register their car and help the Relaxin in the Park St. Louis, which will in turn help the Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. But Ryan, if there was someone that maybe wasn't able to register a car or something like that, was there another way or any other way that someone could help and maybe donate or anything else that you wanted to share in terms of a donation perspective as it relates to your organization?
Absolutely. Glennon.org is our foundation website. It's where anybody can go and find information about how to volunteer, how to make a one-time gift, all the different programs and needs that we have at the hospital. Some of the big programs we have going on right now, we do Homers for Health. So it's a program we do with the Cardinals where members of our community can pledge a certain amount for home run the Cardinals hit. And that obviously grows into a huge amount of support for the hospital. We love it. We've been doing it for quite a while with the Cardinals. And we're also involved with something that I've been really close to, which is Give STL Day. And that's a day where St. Louis gets to show its pride in its community and show how wonderful we are and come together and support all those organizations in St. Louis that are making a difference, not just for kids or families, but for all different people and initiatives in our community. And that's taking place on May 1st. So it's just a big day of giving that supports St. Louis. So we're involved with both of those pretty heavily right now. But any gift, anything that is spreading awareness, just like Relaxin in the Park, which we're so grateful to be a part of. Mm-hmm. It all falls on that road to help the kids in our community. And there's no gift too big or too small that can't make the difference in the life of a child or a family here in St. Louis.
Well, fantastic. And as Ryan mentioned, that's Glennon, GLENNON.org. Now, Ryan, where could listeners go to maybe get a little bit more information? I know you mentioned the website, but is there anything else they should know about the organization that you represent?
They can find more information. We have a social media presence. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Those are great places to kind of get a look at the incredible work we're doing. So they can follow us. It's just if you search Cardinal Glennon on any of those platforms, we'll pop right up, and you can check us out there and start learning more. But Glennon.org is just the one-stop shopping resource for anything that you want to learn about how to support our hospital and what we're doing. And it's just, it goes on and on, the programs that we offer to families. We're really proud of what we call our STARS program, and that's special needs tracking and awareness. and that's all about kids with complex care needs in our community and connecting them with their local EMTs and first responders so that they can provide that specialized care in the event of an emergency. And so that's been something that we've been really proud of. It's starting to catch on a national level, and we're so proud of it. We're so proud of Relaxin in the park for picking up the banner and saying, hey, we want to support Cardinal Gunning. We want to help make a difference for the kids in our community. And like I said, we're incredibly grateful for them for letting us be a part of their event.
Well, it sounds fantastic. And as I've continued to tell the Airhead Nation and a lot of our listeners that it's really important that we all try to do things for the greater good. And when a car show such as what Jason and his whole entire team is doing, there's no one that can argue with helping children or helping families, so to speak. So, Ryan, we certainly appreciate your time. We'd suggest and recommend everyone to go to Glennon, GLENNON.org, and continue to see how you can support this organization, or if you're unable to, reach out to your local organization and see how you can help them. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to share?
No, that's about it. I appreciate you guys letting me talk a little bit and spread the good word about Cardinal Gunning.
Well, fantastic, and we really appreciate your time. We'll be in contact, and we're looking forward to seeing what Jason and the team can do to help the greater good. And Ryan, we wish you a great day, brother.
Yeah, have a great evening, y'all.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, man, dude, Ryan, thank you so much. I mean, a lot of good information out there. Thanks, Airhead Nation, for kind of sticking with us. But, Jason, just to kind of conclude, man, Relaxin in the Park St. Louis isn't just a show. It's really for the greater good of the community. And like I always say, and Mike, we're on the same page, no one can argue with doing something for children, and we're just stoked to see what you're doing, brother.
Well, and again, I can't thank you guys enough, and Cardinal and Ryan and anybody else that's jumped on board to be a part of this. It's been a roller coaster ride since the beginning, since we decided to do it. But I know in the end it's all going to be a kick-ass show. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be great to have you up here. And have the Airhead Nation a part of the whole deal that we're doing too. So I'm excited, man. Every single day, like I said, it's more anticipation, but it's a lot more nerves at the same time.
No doubt about it. So I can't wait to come up there. Not only, maybe we talked a little bit with Ryan as well, maybe even touring the facility, doing a little bit of video work to kind of highlight the beginning to end process, right? So it's getting folks and showgoers into the show. And like Mike and I have talked about, there's no fee to get in and spectate, but for folks to kind of get in with the vehicles and register, there's a fee for that, and a lot of that money, as much as possible, the proceeds will go to that awesome hospital. So we're kind of stoked to see beginning to end, and if there's anything else that we can do, Jay, we're here, and we thank you and salute you for what you're doing for the community, brother.
Man, you guys have been great, and I think I told you before there was one of the homies from Airhead Nation. Dropped a pre-registration out there right before we ended it. And he was like, man, the last time you were on the podcast, it kind of tugged at my heart a little bit. So, I'm not going to be able to make the show, but here's my $25 pre-registration, put it to the cause and, appreciate what you guys are doing. And, that's exactly, what we talked about the last time. So, what you guys are doing for us is great. And, I'll be there for you guys as much as you guys are with us. And anytime you guys need something, you shout at me.
Man, we can't wait. Dude, when we hit St. Louis, I somehow want to figure out how I can go through the arch, dude, and maybe do like a boomerang thing straight through it and get crazy. But, all jokes aside, it's going to be a great time up in the area. And as we always talk about, it's not just about going to car shows. There often are a lot of things you can explore in the city or just in general with the family. Get out, not just go to the pool at the hotel, do some things locally. That way, when you go back, you got a little bit of a story to tell. So, Jay, Relaxin atmosphere there in your city. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man, and we'll see you up here in St. Louis here in a few weeks, man. For right now, though, we at you.
We at you. Peace. Hey, so there you have it. Thanks to Jason for coming on and for Cardinal Glennon Hospital for stepping up and spending some time with us so that you guys out there, the Airhead Nation, get a little bit of insight into why some of these shows, especially charity shows, are put on. as we conclude episode 123, Minis on the Rise, I would remind everyone to please go out and visit Relaxin in the NW, which stands for Northwest, on Facebook and Instagram. This show is July 25th through the 28th this year at the Oregon State Fairgrounds. If you visit Relaxin in the NW on Instagram, you will see the epic show shirt artwork, The Awakening. It's going to be huge, and we hope to see the Airhead Nation out there hashtagging and mentioning Relaxin in the Northwest. Appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend. We out here.
A job, a place to eat. Hardy, meet your homeboy Marty at a B.O.B. party taking over. Barking like a dog named Rover. I'm picking suckers like a 4-leaf clover. Everybody worries on the Michael Jackson Cobras. Son of these saying egg breeders getting over. But in the future in the front. In the future in the front. I'm the B, the R to the double E-D, and down with my homie G-A-S-N-O-E, and suckers causing static cause they still be disagreeing. I don't give a, cause I'm from F-L-I-N-T in a city where pity runs slow. If you ever shoot through my city, now you know, cause we are strictly business and we also got a pride. And if you don't like it, I suggest you break wide. Suckers study looking for the ammo in the wire, thinking that illegal is the best for slowly dying. I ain't got time to see a fiend out, to give up all his money and to give up what he got. That's the way I am, MC Bree cannot be different. Never change the ways for the world or the government. If I was the president, then I would state facts. You leave it up to me, I paint the White House black and ain't no future in your front. There ain't no future in your front. Yeah, I got dollars in my pocket, not from rolling. If I was a fiend, then my gold would be stolen. Put my name Breed on everything I own. And when I get my Jeep, I'm putting Breed on the chrome. Shine it up good, kick it through my neighborhood. Motorola phone, fat rims and a Kenwood. Put the kid around it, and then I'll have it drop. Just because the rotten people think I'm selling rocks, but ain't no future in your front. There ain't no future in your front. Yo, Flash, man, drop that, man. Why don't you drop that? To the rules of the world. Live my life raw cause I never liked the law. Wear top 10s on my ass, use jeans. Selling big gates and tit for tat to the fiends. Like much dollars but I never break a sweat. Time to move out, my posse saying, you got my back and I got yours. What time is it? Tear down the door. It ain't no future in your front. Never was, girl. There ain't no future in your front. Yo, man, let's start this party up, right? Kick out that fat dance.